But that was a great lead-in for us to introduce Michele Eddy from UniSea. Michele has strong belief in the power of the cloud and mobile apps and is having some great results at UniSea with her cloud and mobile-based food safety and quality solutions. So, Michele, welcome to your very first Tech Talk webinar, and maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about you and a little bit about UniSea.
Well, thank you very much, Barbara. And Dave, you've certainly hit all the highlights that we're enjoying from adopting the program. So let's see, a little bit about me. I work at UniSea. I've been here for, since 2009. My QA department consists of 48 employees. We run a micro lab and a food laboratory. We are working towards our BRC and SQF program certifications. And food safety and product quality is basically the focus of my day-to-day job. So before I came to UniSea, I was a retail QA manager for Starbucks North America, which I first started working with technology and food safety. I couldn't be in every store all the time, especially as the company took off with its rapid growth. And before that, I was a health inspector. So through these stages in my career, I have become a firm believer in leveraging the technologies available to capture the data regarding food safety and quality of products. So as a health inspector back in the day, we'd bring the forms in and sit down at the computer and input the data, and that allowed us to look at our restaurant establishments, you know, in a spreadsheet format and see who were succeeding and who needed a little extra support. And then taking that one step further to Starbucks, where we had remote people that could gather data, and actually that came in to a remote centralized location that then was analyzed and reports were sent out, but still not fully cloud-based. And now with the cloud to make it real-time here at UniSea, I feel empowered by that to be able to better manage and lead my quality assurance folks and to help UniSea produce the highest quality product possible. So a little bit about UniSea. We're a shore-based primary seafood processor, and what does that mean? The boats come to us with their catch. And when we talk a little bit about the paper savings, keep in mind that it takes a lot of paper and QA checks to convert 2.4 million pounds of seafood product a day. So the scope's large for what we're doing. We focus on crab, pollock, and cod out of Dutch Harbor, Alaska. And we also have a custom co-packing processing facility here in Redmond, Washington, along with a cold storage operation. So a little bit about Alaska pollock. Alaska pollock is the largest certified sustainable fishery on Earth. You may not know Alaska pollock by name, but if you've ever had a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwich, it is the white fish that's used in the Filet-O-Fish sandwich. And many of the Gordon's products that you'd find in your supermarket contain Alaska pollock. And if you've ever heard the advertisement, trust the Gordon's fishermen, we are the Gordon's fishermen. So that's a little bit of the scope of the business. Our food safety and quality environment, we're preparing, like I said, for the GFSI audits. Beyond that, we're a highly regulated industry. We only operate 9 months out of the year, and we have 7 to 9 regulatory inspections per year. So we have an inspector dropping in unannounced about every 3 weeks. So another thing, too, with our products, we are on a 100% positive release program, and everything needs to be quality graded by our code. So if you think of quality graded by our code, what does that mean for 2.4 million pounds of product per day? And that's a lot of quality checks. So we do about 3% finished good inspection rate. So, and this is Barbara's favorite. I'm going to let you talk about this, Barbara.
Well, hopefully, Michelle, you can hear me. We got kicked out there and had to dial back in. So, but yes, my favorite thing is when I learned from Michelle that the TV show, The Deadliest Catch, when they're bringing their boats in, they're bringing them to UniSea. It's my dad's favorite show. Michelle has, sent me pictures to send to my dad. I thought that was very exciting. Michelle, what were your business drivers for automation? Like you said, you did a lot of paper, but I know that you had some other things that you were trying to do. Perhaps you can walk the audience through that.
Oh, absolutely. The biggest thing I needed to be able to have was visibility per hour code to the results that my QA techs were gathering on the floor. I just needed that immediate processing at the rate that we're processing. If something starts to go wrong, you can have a lot of product involved. So having a solution, I needed a solution for real-time visibility, basically, to the QA metrics that were being collected. And that was the #1 business driver. So that real-time feedback, we could take real-time action. And that aspect hasn't let me down. That's actually a solution that's been perfect for the business that we're in. Some of the other things, I really needed to, we talked about the paper, 1,400 sheets of paper a day, 3 reams. My QAs in the morning shift, they'd come down and they'd take 3 reams of paper, and they'd need to make photocopies of all their forms, and just that alone was cumbersome. And so having this solution, we were actually able to build in efficiencies in our process, taking away some of the things like photocopying and do we have the right forms at the right time, and every hour handing out the new forms to the right people and sending them out, and then getting those forms and collecting all the data and inputting the data that we needed to have input for our grading. And it was just a real cumbersome work stream. So by implementing these mobile devices and the cloud solution, it streamlined our data collection and input, as well as reduced our green footprint. And many of our customers are always asking, what are you doing to reduce your green footprint so they can show that their suppliers are cognizant? And, well, my department alone saving 3 reams of paper a day in this change. So the next, I talked about the streamlining of data input for real time. When I started with UniSea in 2009, we were on approximately a 48-hour turnaround to see what happened 2 days ago. And at processing at the rate that we're processing, that's an awful lot of product to be, should I say, in the hold of let's see if everything turned out right 2 days ago before you can make corrective actions. So this is just, I mean, it streamlines it. Every hour we can look and say, yeah, that's going good. The fish that are being delivered currently are of good quality, just all the aspects there. And in this business, we never know what we know the species we're going to receive at the dock. We never know the size, or it's not like putting in a sales request or putting in a purchase order for your raw materials. We have to do what we have to do with what we get at the dock. So getting those early results can allow the equipment to be set up to optimize the processing for fish size and fish texture. So that's been a huge business improvement. So the other is the visibility at the first link in the food safety chain. And I didn't realize how valuable this was going to be until I started playing around with it. But because we do receive the fish right off the boat, and we supply some pretty big customers, some pretty large brand names. While you may have never heard of UniSea, McDonald's and Gordon's are familiar to many people. We can offer our customers all the way through to the consumer transparency to that catch right off the boat for quality metrics and our handling CCPs and packaging, and it allows for the generation of our C of A's to our customers to be automated versus going back into the data and saying, okay, this customer, this is on this purchase order, let's make the report. It just has really streamlined many aspects of the QA and food safety data collection and reporting for my team and for our sales department and for production as well.
Mm-hmm. And so the culture in your company really is one of visibility and transparency. That's kind of core to your the values there. How are you using your solutions today? You've got cloud-based mobile food safety and quality solutions. How are you using them in the organization today?
Well, we have multiple processing locations and different buildings within one site. But through the mobile devices, we can actually bring visibility to what's going on in each of those buildings at any given time, and we can see that anywhere, as well as the documentation. So the documentation doesn't have to live at each individual site. The standard documentation such as specifications and SOPs for product handling can live in one location, and they can be accessed by the users in the field, and they're always getting a consistent experience. So somebody doesn't have a document that had been, that's 3 revisions old. They always have access to the most current documentation for everything in our food safety and product quality program, which has been huge. Remote monitoring of records and the management of our records. Many records require review and sign off, and sometimes the person with the certification, especially being in a seasonal business, the person with the certification may have to go to a training or may be out that day. And this actually allows for myself or other managers not at that facility to be able to review and sign off and manage the monitoring records if somebody should not be on site to do it. So that's been a huge advantage. Controlled documents. If any of you out there in the audience have started your documentation control program, the infrastructure that's available through SafetyChain has just been incredible for our ability to manage controlled documents, the way it is uploaded into the cloud, the way they're managed, the way the dates are visible, the alerts that you receive when it's time to review a document. It just has really made us more successful at our document management and annual review activities. So that's one way we're leveraging the cloud and solution. It helps us communicate throughout the organization the Codex HACCP program elements. So there isn't the ambiguity of, well, I heard this in a training and I think this is what it was. There's like a one-stop shop. So it helps production in all locations and the QA techs to actually have that learning reinforcement in one stop should they forget, or like I said, it's seasonal. They had the training last season, they left for 2 months on vacation, and then they came back and like, oh, I don't remember the specifics. And that's been a huge benefit is the communication. We also grade our catch. So when the catch is delivered to the dock, the production data or the quality data that's collected by the QAs also goes to production. It goes back to the fishermen and back to the vessels to say, you know, this is what the quality of your product looked like that was delivered. And that provides them valuable feedback, so they know that perhaps we need to fish in another location, the fish were a little bit small, there's better quality fish in the larger fish, things like that in a different location. And basically, transparency. The ability for us to provide transparency. You know, less than 5 years ago, a customer would ask for something, and it wasn't readily available. It wasn't that we didn't have it, but we didn't have a huge resource base of folks to go and gather it and find it and make sure it was the last edition. And the transparency is incredible. All the information is easy to find, and many people throughout the organization here at UniSea can find the information readily, the way it's organized through the SafetyChain portal. So that's been huge. And while we're still sending it out per customer request, as soon as we get the process completely refined, we anticipate on giving access to customers. SafetyChain allows for you to control access, so we can control the access to customers so they can see, let's say they're in the middle of their GFSI audit or their BRC audit, and the auditor says, oh, where's your insurance statement from UniSea? And maybe it expired last month and they didn't think to ask us for it. And so they can go directly to the site when they need it and pull down those documents that they would require at the spur of the moment.
Great. Thank you very much for that. And I really applaud the culture of transparency and your plans in that direction. So you've just shared with us how you're using the system. How have these solutions helped you actually transform FSQA at UniSea, Michele?
Well, this first, without IT infrastructure impact, you know, I had a vision of what I wanted to be able to do with the data and how I wanted to be able to collect it. And when I'd meet with our IT folks, they'd say, yeah, Michele, we just don't have the resources to support what you're wanting to do. Oh, that's exciting, but you know, that's a little out of our scope for the business needs that their department were supporting. And so this solution was so great because through the project manager that I'm working with and the system, I don't have to bug my IT guys. I'm not dependent. The QA department and data collection and data review is not dependent on the schedules and resources that our IT department has or doesn't have at any given time. So that really, I'm going to say it offered me freedom, right? Freedom to build the program out using a dedicated resource. It's like having my own personal dedicated IT resource, which has been great. The data, anywhere, anytime. I'm not in Dutch Harbor, Alaska all the time. I'm actually based out of our Redmond headquarters. And while I go up there frequently, just to be able to have the data available and accessible at any time makes it real-time actionable. So it really opens up the communication between our Redmond headquarters and our facilities where the curvature of the earth makes it a little difficult to give actual visibility. I'm always telling my people, you know, you're way up there, that curvature of the earth, I can't see what's going on. And this, well, it's true.
I love that. Never thought of it that way.
This gives me visibility, and it gives me a confidence that this is going on, and I can provide guidance and support where the crew needs it when they need it. So that's been huge. And the pictures, the advantage of real-time with pictures. So we've just really started utilizing this picture function. And it provides a communication conduit. If one of my crews up there and they have a question. They see something that they think might not be right, but they haven't dealt with it before, they can take a picture and then they'll text me and say, Michele, I just submitted. Look at this picture. What do you think it is? And what should I do? And so it actually provides, it's almost as good as being there. And that real time with pictures is huge for anybody that's trying to manage a function off-site. It allows us basically to keep the system in control. It abates emerging issues before they take place. And I love that. It makes my job easier. I'd much rather be proactive than reacting to something because of a communication breakdown. So, and it helps us track and meet KPIs. The tracking of the KPIs just makes it very transparent to see what's going on at any given time, and it helps the business drivers for continuous improvement conversations. So.
Great, thank you. So tell us about employee adoption, Michele. I hear it all the time. People are worried, will my employees use it? Employees love to use it, but your stories are the best I've heard. So tell us about the adoption.
All right. So first, to understand the excitement, we're out there in Dutch Harbor where we don't have a lot of resources available. And when I had the mobile devices come in, and of course it's a big deal when things come into, we have a central, we call it central stores, but it's on UniSea property, and everything isn't delivered like a normal office building where it would be delivered to me here in Redmond. It comes into a central location, and lots of people are curious about what other people are getting. So when the devices arrived, the handheld devices arrived, the word got out fast that, oh, Michele, what's she getting? She has all these, handheld devices. What's so special there? And of course, we got them up and going, and we handed them out to the QAs, and we walked around. Definitely visible when you're bringing the crew around and everybody has a handheld device, and you're all doing, we started out with sanitation checks. And so we're all doing sanitation checks and discussing how you'd rate one thing and how you would rate the other. And we did this for 2 days, every 6 hours, around the clock. And I had no idea how well this would take off. And we had production workers going to HR and asking what it would take for them to be considered to be a QA. And, QA, my production kind of thought, yeah, they're the brainy people. They do a lot of math and whatnot. And with the introduction of the tablets, we had people wanting to come and work for the department just so they could use a tablet in their job, which it's great. I mean, it created a glam factor for the QAs. I took, okay, they're the brainy folks to, oh wow, they've got this hip technology. I want that technology. I'd be a QA if I could have that technology. So it elevated the cultural view throughout the company of the QA tech. So that I had no idea, right? That was not when I did my risk and benefit analysis. That was not something I put into my plan.
You put glam factor into the plan, huh?
I did not say, I'm getting this so the QAs can be the cool kids. That wasn't in the plan. But another thing that it did for the business is the feedback being computer generated, and we talked about being able to set up alerts. So the different levels of leadership in production on the floor and the oversight and all the way up to the most senior levels have visibility to reports where there is a defect noted, or where there is a failure, if you will. And you know, historically, the QA would go up to the production person that was right there and say, hey, I observed this, and yeah, quit bugging me, okay, I'll fix it. But this computer generated, it took that personal element away and made it real. And I don't know how or why. I can just share my observations. And the employees, the production employees, no longer perceive that the feedback's a personal attack. And this isn't only on the floor level, but this is all the way up. And so now I'm having shift leads asking for more information. We frequently had an opportunity to close our dumpster. So all of a sudden the shift leads are making programs and incenting their crew to keep the dumpster lid closed versus the QA going out and saying, all right, your dumpster lid's opened again. But when they see this, okay, I'm not gonna have the dumpster lid reported open on my shift. And then they can set up these little games and incentives that they play to really drive progress. And I didn't see that before we went digital with the feedback.
That's really interesting. I you know, hadn't really thought of that either. But you know, since speaking with you about it, I can really see it, and I think that's I think it's really neat. I'm trying to think of a much better word, but neat is what I came up with, and valuable. You've done a lot. What are you doing next?
Oh, so next we'll definitely be providing visibility throughout our supply chain, and we're going to put it to the test. You know, we need to collect our data. I think it's 6 months or so before BRC comes in, so we can show that we didn't just write the policy yesterday. So we're working on collecting our data to get the history, to be able to show history. SQF is almost ready to go. Probably within the next month and a half, we'll have our SQF audit. So we're really looking forward at the reduction of the audit day stress, because I see it as transforming our food safety and quality management system into the language of the inspectors. Just the way the web-based SafetyChain application has the information laid out. When the inspector says, oh, find me this, that stress of, oh, what binder and where is it, and I know I have it, and you know, while we strive to be organized, this just puts it right there where it's visible. You can show the inspector, okay, you're working on your paperwork inspection, here it is, click, click, click. You click on an element saying BRC, and there's 4 documents associated with it, your training document, your SOP, and your monitoring records, and your evaluation, and it's all just right there on the element that they're clicking on, that they're inspecting. And that's, I just go, ah, when I think about that advantage and getting to that point for our future state. And then just the quality metrics. So generated by our code. We're still, yes, we generate them by our code. We want to automate the lot code product grading. So right now we still are looking and doing double checks and making sure, building our confidence that the system's reporting the correct information. But next we want to put that and automate it. So in with our inventory control computer programming, now with that hour code and that lot number, they'll automatically be assigned a grade. So that grade will be communicated at the time the product gets put into inventory. And that's going to be a huge savings for both IC and my QAs that have to run to IC and say, all right, this is what this grade is going to be, or communicate at the end of the production line what the grade is for that hour code. It'll be computer generated and be right there for automation. And then the same with our positive release. So we'll actually be able to maintain product on hold until all sample testing is in, and then it will release it from the inventory control data system, so they'll be able to write POs and fill orders from the product that's released automatically. So they won't have to check a different system to figure out if it's released. It'll just integrate with their system.
Really good stuff, Michele. I love hearing this story. Don't go away, because we are going to come back to you in a minute. We've gone out of full screen now, and so everybody now should be able to see on the lower right-hand side of their screen QA tab. I'm going to just give you just a minute's worth of information about SafetyChain. Then we're going to take your questions from Michele and Jeff, and then we will, for those who would like to see a demo of the SafetyChain solution, are welcome to stay on for that. So our cloud solution is called SafetyChain for Food. This is a single dedicated platform for food safety and quality assurance at all points in your value chain, for what comes in, what you're doing with it, and what goes out upstream, internally, and downstream. We have 4 main modules for supplier compliance, food safety management, food quality management, and regulatory and GFSI management. And all of these modules take advantage of and leverage SafetyChain Mobile, which is our anywhere, anytime mobile FSQA application that allows you to access the other modules from wherever you are and need to be. Our system is really focused on prevention. It's focused on getting information in real time, analyzing it in real time, sending out alerts in real time for the timeliest CAPA so that you can catch problems before ingredients go into production or before products go into commerce. It was really designed, if you think about it, as a food safety and quality smoke alarm in the cloud. It's designed to proactively prevent problems versus reactively, after problems have already happened, trying to figure out how it started and how to repair the damage. So with that, let's go for some questions from our panelists. Let's see. Michele, got a question for you from Franklin, and he is asking, considering the locations in Alaska, was internet connectivity an issue for you?
Well, we anticipated it. It went on my risk list of a possible risk. We do have internet connectivity. Bandwidth is oftentimes a limiting factor, and the system is built out such that with the mobile devices, if bandwidth is squelched to a small amount and it's forms in the process of being uploaded, data is in the process of being uploaded, it will actually be suspended and automatically uploaded when the bandwidth is conducive to doing so. So that has been, it actually exceeded my expectations. With the bandwidth pulling down reports, we are managing that with SOP, so our reports don't get so large at one time. But then we want to see the information in real time, so downloading them frequently, and then we can save them to our own server in an Excel spreadsheet or export them out to format that our IT folks like us to. So that's how we're managing that.
Alaska Internet is satellite-based, right? Is that what where the issue was? Yeah.
Yeah.
Karen's asking. Nothing to do with the cloud, but Karen's asking, what is the business reason behind doing SQF and BRC?
Well, that would be customer driven.
Okay.
And yes, I understand. Yes, I understand everything around it. And if we didn't have, so SQF, part of our business is domestic. Dutch Harbor, a large majority is export. And to the customers that we export to, they are more familiar and more comfortable with BRC, while some of our domestic customers, in their facilities, they're used to using SQF, and so we actually, if you're doing one, the other one's not that much harder, and it just was about customer satisfaction. And SafetyChain allows you to link. So if we have one document that works with BRC, we just link it to the element that it matches with SQF. So it's truly not a duplicate of paperwork.
Great, thank you. Let's see, Jeff, we have a question for you from Sumita. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. How would a system like this tie up, I guess, interface with the ERP or a LIMS system?
Yeah, I can take that. So I'll try to talk about high level, what it does in the system, and then just also, how it connects. We do integrate, SafetyChain software integrates with different ERP systems, different LIMS systems, equipment. There's various different ways. With an ERP, we do have an integrations platform that we need to look at exactly which ERP system the company has. And then from there, in terms of on the business side, typically maybe the ERP for a company will be the source of truth, and we will sync essentially what we call business objects. So your products, your equipment, your customers, your suppliers, they'll be, your source of truth would be the ERP because you don't want to manage them anywhere else. You already have interfaces to your ERP system, and it communicates to SafetyChain so that the lists in SafetyChain stay up to date. In terms of transactionally, if a work order or purchase order is kicked off in the ERP, we can also, change statuses in SafetyChain. We can create new product or new forms that need to be filled out. And then on SafetyChain side, if there are evaluations that have been done or forms that have been filled out, we can again then send events back to the ERP, to the integration. And then with LIMS, it's typically a little bit different integration, but there are different choices there. We have a web API, we have some XML integrations, and FTP integrations, depends on what the company needs to do. And then there, it's mostly a transactional type, maybe inbound and outbound, could be just outbound from the LIMS system. And again, it depends on what the exact instance is.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm getting some messages from a few people that do need to leave. We hope that most of you can stay for the demonstration. We still have a couple of questions, too, for Michele and Jeff. We'll get to those in just a moment, but let me give you some additional information here if you do need to leave at the top of the hour. I saw a question, I think, from Ann Young about use of the system in Asian countries. Yes, that is available. If you'd like more information on SafetyChain solution, you see an email address there. You can simply send an email to info@SafetyChain. When you leave the event today, there's also a form you can fill out. Everybody will receive the recording and slides by close of business tomorrow. If you'd like to follow up directly with Michele, Michele can be reached at michele.eddy@unisea.com. You see that there. We've got some great tech talks coming up. June 23rd, Harnessing the Cost of Quality with Lamont Rombers. Lamont's just started his own exciting consulting group, but for the last bunch of years has been the Director of Quality for Sam's Club. I heard him speak at a conference, and it was fabulous, and we asked him to join our tech talks. And then in July, we'll be talking about conquering HACCP, HACCP, and food safety plan management by leveraging technology. To learn more about all of our upcoming events, please visit us at SafetyChain.com. We will be at the NLS Food Chain Summit in Miami on June 10th and 11th, and the SQF Information Day in New Brunswick, New Jersey on June 18th. If anybody will be attending those events, we hope that you'll come and say hello to us. And with that, we're going to just get back to some questions. Howard is asking Michele, I guess in general categories, what kind, you said that you planned on making, your downstream customers, allowing them to access the system. What kinds of information will you give them access to, and what kinds of information will you probably not give access to?
We would give access to the types of information that they ask for in their supplier certification requests. that we receive. So we would give access to our latest audit inspection. We would give access to any kind of certificate that they would need, country of origin certificate, for example. So those would be the type of things that we would provide access to our HACCP flow diagram and our signed HACCP plan for their specific product. So these would be for customers that currently purchase from us. This wouldn't be opened to anyone.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Jeff, Helen is asking, can other equipment in a plant be integrated into this system? For example, can weights from scales be automatically uploaded or temperature from cookers?
Yep, and it depends on the equipment itself. I mean, if you have an analog scale or something that's not connected to any network, it would be difficult for us to integrate there, right? Some examples of things we've done a temperature probe. Somebody takes a temperature probe into like a freezer and takes temperature in there, and we've had a web API that we talk to the service of the probe and get information that way. We can get, weights from scales, different things depending on what their integration is, what kind of background they have back end.
And I think that was our last question. For the questions about is the solution available in Chinese, currently 15 different languages. So yes, and please fill out the form or contact us at info@SafetyChain, and we can certainly share more information with you. With that, I would like to thank Michele. That was just a fabulous case study. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and Jeff, for your insight on cloud solutions. I'd like to thank you very much.